Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, a lot of people have been sending in their jobs. William says, most of my jobs are terrible. Cleaning at Northumbrian Water head office, bah. Then piecework at an electronics factory, 8 hours a day, soldering the same piece in place. Oi. Best job, cleaning the cinema at the Metro Centre, because you got to keep what you found, unless it was a wallet. And a chef at Neville's Cross Hotel was awesome. No, it sounds like it too. So, we have Liam O'Connor. His best was a paper round. His worst was a kitchen porter. Deborah Taylor-Smith. She's been laid off her work, so she's decided to become a free singer, and she's created her own show called The Geordie Sweetheart, War Vera, a tribute to Dame Vera Lynn. She says, best job in the world. She's working her way through all of the care homes in the north. We've had a question asking me, but what was your best and worst job? Best job is obvious, because it's not like work, is it? Worst job, when I was super young, about 15 through 17, I wanted to make extra money. So I used to kidnap the bin man. I'd say to the bin man, look, I'll do all the bins in your street if you give me, at the time it was about £3 or £4. And me and my mate used to howk these big heavy dustbins on the back of a wagon. And then when a local pub called the Benwell, I think it's still there, when the Benwell was looking for somebody to do a bit of cleaning, the worst bit of cleaning, puke and poo, where people miss the toilet bowl. We also did that, and we used to go up every night across the week, particularly like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And just before we went to bed, about 10 past 11, we'd find ourselves up to our arms in puke. Wasn't fun, but we made a few extra quid. Emma Sager, cleaning. She loves to clean. Best decision, she said, was to go self-employed as a cleaner. She's loved cleaning things since she was a kid. Does anybody need a clean? Bits, but you best not go into that. Joe Wallace says, I got to serve you the other week at the Cash and Carry. I remember you. Hope you enjoyed your Battenberg. Shouldn't have mentioned it. I'm a diabetic. I'm not. But anyway, hope your missus got a slice. And Kiddo from the Rockers, Pure Blue Sky, said, be great to catch up with you soon. I'd look forward to that as well. Perfect, Blue Sky. Be great to catch up soon. Evie says she's an escort. She says it's the best paid job she's ever had. Fancy a freebie? No, I have a complete contract to one individual on planet Earth, okay? 0191 488 3188. Best and worst jobs. We want yours. Got music coming in. Got people to talk to. Let's do some of that. We are starting with, who's it? Oh, it's Catherine, who is in Forden. And let's go and have a word with her, hopefully. Hiya. Hello, Catherine.
Hiya, Alan. You all right?
I'm good, darling. Good to catch up with you. What's happening in your world this week?
I'm just really ringing up about what the government's been talking about lately, what's coming into force on the 4th of July.
Yes.
You know, in relation to the restaurants and the pubs, museums and hair salons opening.
What I don't understand, mind, is they're bringing hair salons and you're saying, okay, we might have to put like a bit of plastic up between you and whoever's cutting next to you.
Yeah.
But they're not allowing nail people to do stuff.
That's why I'm ringing. I'm ringing because one of my good friends, Julie Davidson, she's actually, she's got her own salon.
Right.
She works alone.
Mm-hmm.
She owns the salon, the Beauty Sanctuary, up on Benton Park Road.
All right, yeah.
It's sort of like just up past South Gosforth, you know where Wickes used to be?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lidl now, but she's literally just opposite there.
Right, brilliant.
She's been there a while, and she's really, really good at her job and professional.
Uh-huh.
And she's been, she hasn't been working since March, really. So she's been laid off. She's not been furloughed because she's like self-employed.
Did she get any money from the government? Because the government made all of this speech saying, don't worry, self-employed people, we'll look after you. Most of the people I know, because I'm self-employed, most of the people who are self-employed didn't get anything.
No, that's my point. That's why I'm ringing, because Julie didn't really get any help from the government. I think she's had a little bit of money through, but to be honest, she's still waiting on a grant now, which is, she's obviously...
What do they expect people to live on?
Exactly, that's my point. And
they don't care. They don't. The problem is they don't actually care.
No, they don't. It's the livelihoods at the end of the day, and it's just really confusing what Boris and the government said about the fact that the hair salons can open. Which I've got no dispute against the hair salons. My argument's not with them; it's with the government and Boris for confusing things and.
But you see, right from the very beginning, in everything that they have done, unlike other heads of countries, even Ireland, for example, Ireland said to the public, the kids are going back to school on that date. And Boris says, well, the kids are going back to school, but if some of the parents want to keep them away, well, that's all right.
I know it's like, do it, but don't do it.
Do it, but don't do it. And he's like that with every damn thing. He's like, but the shops can go back. Everybody can go back to work now. We want you back to work, but you can't go back.
I know. So there's a lot of frustration, I believe, on social media from all the salon owners, the beauty salon owners, and obviously the individual beauty therapists who are obviously frustrated because at the end of the day, they could go under.
So what are they going to do? Are they just going to open on the 4th and say, well, look, you said that all of these jobs that are non-essential workers can go back to work. We're non-essential. We're going back to work. I mean, can they not just do it?
I don't know. I don't know whether there's any repercussions from doing that.
What? Because look at what's happened. The repercussion is everybody's on the cheeks of their backside. The chance is they could lose their business unless they get back to work.
Exactly.
You see, in every place you look, there seems to be that Borisness. Well, you can, but don't you dare. If you you get back as soon as you can, but we'll fine you. Well, where do people stand?
I know, it's like the hairdressers, right? They're obviously going to have to keep a distance from, but then you've got your hairdresser that cuts your hair every month or so. She's going to be standing right behind you. Fair enough, she might have a mask on, but she's still going to, to cut your hair. She can't wear gloves, can she?
Yeah, she's touching you. But you see, New York in America is the one state that's done better than all the rest of America. While the numbers are going up in America, in New York, they're falling. And yet all of the hairdressers are back at work. All the nail salons are open. And all they've done is they've put a little bit of plastic screen between each worker. And they're working in their own little independent place. And if you think about it, when you get into a shop or a garage, as was proven again today with me, I was within a foot of probably 35 people. And people were queuing outside 2 meters away. And then when you get in the shop, you're in a queue where there's 15 people in 15 feet. And you think,
that's it.
And then everybody that's got to come out has to walk past you within a foot.
Yeah, I think Julie was obviously planning on getting back to work on the 4th, and she was prepared for it.
I hope so.
She's done a COVID-19 course, so she's taken it very seriously, like other beauty therapists will be as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole environment in a salon is very clean and sterile anyway on a normal day. So you can imagine they're going to be even more so, anti-backing, wiping everything down, wearing masks and gloves. So I would prefer, personally, to be able to go into a salon, have treatments, obviously not facials and massages, because that wouldn't work at the minute. But at the end of the day, they should be able to open on the 4th of July and do the essential ones where you can wax and do nails and things like that. It's not going to affect, you can wear gloves and do jobs like that. And I just think the government's opening bars and restaurants and places like that. People are getting drunk. They're not adhering to the rules. I mean, look at the beaches down Tynemouth. That was absolutely ridiculous. People aren't taking it seriously, and yet they're stopping salons from opening up. Now,
they're sending people on aeroplanes now on on these
exactly.
bridges where you're sitting beside somebody, in front of somebody, behind somebody, to the right of somebody. They've got to get real. It's either still a lockdown or it isn't. And you cannot have this little bit, well, that job can, that job can't. Because it just seems to be off the hook. Like, well, what will it be? Well, I'll do that one. Instead of having a proper organised way of doing. If they put a sign up and they said, Tuesday the 3rd for that one, Thursday the 4th, whatever, then we'd understand it. But they don't. They say, let's get everybody back to work. Boris today, it's going to have a resurgence. We're going to make more money. You're going to have a huge British revival.
Yeah, I think they're all more bothered about the economy at the minute, aren't they? But they seem to be supporting all the big chains and that, and then like the independent, single,
the rich,
self-employed people are just getting left behind.
They're looking after the rich because
totally. The ones that bring in the money more, they're not bothered about the little independent people.
If a small hairdresser or a small nail clinic goes to the wall, the big nail clinics and the big national chains of hairdressers will pick up that business and become wealthier. The rich will become richer and the poor disappear up their own behind. And it's a absolute sin. Britain has been built by the small, independent person that got off their backside and did something.
They're sweating blood and tears to keep their businesses running, and they're worried sick.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, they're not really getting any support. I'd like to think that the general public out there are going to support all the independent self-employed people. They need our support, and I believe there's petitions on Facebook and Instagram that need signing from any beauty therapist or a beauty salon that's worried. I believe they're trying to take it to back to the government to actually get them open on the 4th of July, which is in a week's time. So if people sign it, it could end up being mentioned in Parliament.
I would love to think it turns around. I would be so tempted to go back to work. And okay, if they say nails can't be done, start the hair salon up. Cut as many. Let's face it, there's a lot of hairy people out there who've been waiting for this moment. Yeah. Let's get back to... You can't run an economy without people going back to work. Full stop.
That's it.
I'd
be interested to hear if there's anyone listening tonight.
Hope so.
Any beauty therapists or any people that own salons themselves. Yeah. I'd be interested to see what their views are, whether they've had any issues, what their problems are, whether they're getting support. Yeah. You know, just share what's happening with you through the lockdown.
Let's
I think,
hear them.
You know, all this would help ease other people's worries.
No, absolutely. I would be tempted just to say, well, damn it, I've done the course. I'm keeping everything clean. If they say that we can open this side of the business, off we go and just charge back and start getting some money in.
It's very tempting, but at the same time, I mean, a lot of people have got that guilty conscience and they're like, well, I need to do it. I need to bring the money in, but should I be doing it? They're frightened that, you know, is someone going to like...
Yeah, but you hang on. Who's broke the deal here? Now, you see, right from the beginning, whether you believe or whether you disbelieve everything the government's told you about this, and it's a horrific thing. A lot of our friends and family and loved ones have passed with this damn horrible thing. Yeah. And yet, in the process, we've been told a few porkies down the line. Even the scientists disagree with it. So we understand it's been a horrible thing and hopefully it's on the wane. But the government made a promise. We're going to make sure that we keep the self-employed with enough money to keep their businesses running so that they can come out of this and build up their businesses again. That was their promise. We're going to give you money every week to look after you so you can pay your bills. They didn't do either of those things. Yeah. Not in any large degree. Some people were having to apply and some of them were being turned down and others weren't. Well, it was hit and miss.
Yeah, it's very hit and missy. I think it depends obviously on your personal circumstances. I mean, it's going to, you know, at the minute, I mean, the banks are being very helpful with holding back on people's mortgages and stuff like that. But
yeah, but that just means think about it though. They're being very kind. The banks are parasites. And I'm sorry to say it, because we bailed the banks out when they were going to the wall and they were all about to lose their jobs. And we, as the public, spent our money bailing these people out.
Yeah.
And then the deal was supposed to be, well, we'll then be able to give you loans and we'll give you mortgages. You ever tried to get a loan? Ever tried to get a mortgage? Phew, it's next to impossible.
I know.
So they haven't lived up to the deal either. And when you say, how long will their kindness last? Yeah. They're not letting you off with anything here.
Oh, no.
They're just saying,
on the sideline
well, you should have finished your mortgage in 2043. Yeah. Now it'll be 2044. I mean, that's, well, lovely. Thanks very much.
Yeah. You'll end up paying it back some way or another.
Absolutely, 100%.
You don't get nothing for free in this world.
Nothing for nothing, and it is an absolute tragedy. But I wish you well. I've heard a very similar thing to this from so many other self-employed businesses that have said, "When's this money going to come through?"
Yeah.
And every penny of their savings is gone. They're in the red now, up to their nose, and they're thinking, and we still can't open.
I know,
what's
the frustrating thing. They're just sitting there. They can't do anything.
What do people expect? Are you going to look after your family first? You know, that's the deal. Hey, Catherine, lovely talking to you. Wish your friend all the best from me, and thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, love. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Grrr. I hate people telling porkies. And it seems that governments in general, and it doesn't matter which one it is, they promise the world and they give you tuppence halfpenny. Well, that'll do. Yeah, it's not doing. Karen from Blythe. And, she's on about the northeast, it says here. Wonder why. Hi, Karen.
Hiya.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about then?
Well, what it is, it was last week you put a post on Facebook with regards to famous places you'd been to.
Places that have been on a telly or on a film or something, yeah.
Yes. Well, the response I put on was basically my living room in the property that I lived in with my parents.
Explain.
Well, it's coming up 40 years now, but there was in 1980, there was a programme called Consett After the Blast recorded.
Right.
And it was just after the steelworks had closed.
Right, oh, blame.
Well, I'm actually originally from Consett, so that was the reason I put it.
Right. So why were they in your front room then?
Because my family, myself, my mum, my dad, my brother, we were part of the Consett After the Blast programme.
Right, I see.
So they actually came in, they recorded us. As I say, at the time I was 8-year-old.
Right.
I was literally in my Cub uniform. I was just waiting to go away on holiday, on camp for the weekend with the Cubs.
Right, lovely.
And I just thought, I'm just going to put something a little bit different, and that was why I got the response from yourself.
That's
with
brilliant.
regards to the fact that I put something a bit different on.
No, it is, but on top of that, I mean, I know you were only 8. Did your mum really glam up for the telly?
A bit, yeah.
Because the telly people always say, we just want you in the way you're dressed. And I can imagine your mother saying, ring the hairdresser right now. Get me booked in there. Get me pearls on. Brilliant.
And sort of spoke the best way they possibly could. So tried to sound as posh as they possibly could as well, yeah.
I've mentioned this on the show before. My dad was rough as a badger. He was a hard-working, down-to-earth, typical northern bloke. And yet, whenever he spoke, he stayed friendly with the guy that was his major during the war. Uh-huh. And his major was one of these terribly, terribly toughy-nosed, one of those. And when this guy rang me dad, you always knew who he was talking to. Because my dad suddenly went into posh Geordie and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad was a bit like that. Cause my dad was originally a miner.
Right.
And then he went to the steelworks. And then, obviously, when the steelworks closed down, he became a builder's labourer.
Right.
And for the programme, he was exactly the same. He actually spoke quite well, tried to sound as posh as possibly could. And I mean, I used to sit and think, you know what it is? Because we always took the mickey out of him, because where everybody else would prepay the Sunday lunch, my dad would repay the Sunday lunch. And we always used to say, why, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, but my dad was really funny because he used phrases when he was talking to the major that he would, for example, my dad would say, oh, lass is in the kitchen, she's making a scran or whatever, and I would understand it. His wife, my mother, would understand it, but not when Major Williams was on. It was my lady wife at the present moment, and I'm thinking, my lady wife. She's in the kitchen now making, and I expected him to say something. She's making our repast. We're gonna what? And he always ended it the same way. He would say, "Oh well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Major. Rightio, thank you." And then he put the
phone down and go back to his normal.
Oh, hey, that was the Major. Whoa. Just funny. People are funny, right from the start. Anything else then, Karen?
No, that
was
all.
lovely stuff.
The programme had contacted me with regards to the fact that I actually put down my living room.
Brilliant.
And it was just, to say, it was just so different. The fact that it was filmed from the property in the property that we actually lived in at the time in York Avenue in Mosaic, Consett. Excellent.
No, I remember that time when it was weird because I had two of my best friends live in Consett up the bank, and they both said to me that they didn't want to work at the steelworks, and they wished the steelworks would close because of the muck in the air. Everybody was ginger eventually, with all of the dust falling. And every time I park my car there, even if I've just washed it, you would come out and the car would be a different colour. You're thinking, this isn't great. But a lot of people wanted it to finish really, and then it did, and everybody complained about it. And then Concert's kind of done really well. We talked about small businesses springing up. The people refused to let the place go, and I think they've worked miracles with it.
Well, it's like, I know Nicola that works for you on the switchboard.
Well, you say work. She sat in a chair here, that's right.
I used to look after Nicola when she was little.
Really? Give over. Yeah. Right. Good luck with that. I couldn't do it, so well done you.
She was a good kid.
She's all right. She's all right. But she's up there. She's got a similar business to the lady that's just been talking about it. And she's been hit by the... you just get a small business up and running and boom, something always comes along to shake you.
Exactly.
Hey, but Karen, thank you very much for coming on. Lovely to hear. Did you ever get all your badges from the Cubs then?
Oh, I got loads of badges from the Cubs and Scouts and what. In fact, I remember being on a trip. We went to Amsterdam one year.
Wow.
No, it wasn't. It was Holland. We went to Holland. Not Amsterdam itself.
Right.
And by this time, I was about 18, and I was at the bar on the ship, and I got to move, and this guy sort of pushed me, and I thought, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry," he said, "I don't mean to sort of offend you." He says, "But did you do all those badges that's on there?" I said, "Oh yeah." He says, "Crikey." He says, "You've done some work while you've been in there, haven't you?" I was in from about the age of 8 right through till I was about 21, 22, because I became a leader while I was there as well. I absolutely loved the scouting life.
Well, I can say that I was the absolute reverse. I tried to get... all my mates were in the Boy Scouts, and there was a church hall at the bottom of Kew Gardens at the time, and that's where everybody met. And I went down, and they had told me to buy the jumper, and because they don't give you them, you have to buy the bits and pieces. And we didn't have enough money, so my mum knitted me this day glow green jumper that just didn't kind of go. And as soon as I got in, people were taking the pee big style of me in my luminous green jumper. And I ended up having a fight with somebody and sent on my way. And don't ever you darken our door again. So I went in the opposite direction. But I did try to get in. Anyway, thank you, Karen. Lovely catching up with you.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, love. Bye-bye. Take care. Barnard Castle. Let's go to Barney. We've got Glenn there. We're talking about jobs and stuff. I think that's what he's on about.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
I'm good, Glenn. Tell me your story, mate.
Do you remember me from the other week?
I do.
I was having a chunter, wasn't I, about Dominic Cummins?
You were, absolutely.
Bringing all the tourists up to Middleton Teesdale.
So what were you on about tonight, then?
Well, I'm back at work on Saturday. I was just saying to Chris.
What's the differences? Because you work in a bar. What extra rules are you bringing in?
I'm up at the Foresters up in Middleton, and I was saying to you about all the people coming up, and we couldn't serve them.
Right.
Well, it's the opposite now. I've sort of retracted what I've said. We need them to come now.
Yeah, everybody's just, they're all standing waiting like 300 yards from the bar, right? Like,
Mate,
when's the
I'll tell
moment?
you where it is. The amount of precautions that we've had to put in place, and
Like
the
what, though?
restrictions.
Like what?
Well, I'll tell you, right? You go on the government website, a 49-page document we've downloaded, and it's telling you, but there's never a strict guideline, if you know what I mean.
Right.
It's saying, we prefer you to do this. You should do this. There's no definite, you must do this. It's also they can turn the blame back on you, really, I guess. But,
sure, but what sort of things do they want you to do then? What have you put in place at the Middleton then?
Up there, I mean, we're spot on because we've got such a good outside area and being such a good area for outside and walkers and things. We're lucky. I mean, my boss has just bought 16 new tables and chairs. We put them out 2 metres apart.
Right.
But the irony is, it's been glorious sunshine for the last 3 months.
And it's
And now
piddling
it's
down
going to
there.
buck it down, isn't it?
Yeah, but July's going to be good, though. But once we get past the first few days in July. Now, can people go in the pub?
They can come in. They'll come in, and it's table service. So they'll come in, find a seat.
Oh, brilliant.
There's plenty of table chairs inside and
Great.
outside. I've been down today and got all the face masks. My boss has got all the new tables and chairs outside. Because they're outside in the sun, midges, flies, wasps. So we bought mosquito gel, candles, citronellas, bug spray.
But people
everything
can
you
still,
think of.
if people wanted to be, let's say it did tiddle down like it has today, can people go in the pub and sit in tables as long as you're...
Of course they can.
Great,
We're
fantastic.
quite lucky because we've got a couple of rooms.
Right.
We've been able to spread it out. We've had to take furniture out.
Uh-huh.
Indoors, they say a metre apart. You've got to stay a metre apart.
Great, no, that's good.
Nobody can come to the bar, so I'm going to be running around like a headless chicken.
Right.
I'll be rushing back and forth, but they can sit down. They're going to be able to relax. It'll be better for the customers, to be honest.
Right.
They're going to be able to sit and relax, and we'll do all the donkey work for them. But
Are you serving meals as well? You're doing the meal thing?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Luckily, we've got a brilliant chef, and we're a French restaurant.
Right.
So then we're really popular restaurant. But we're just hoping that people are going to come because I went up to Gilesgate up at Durham today.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'll have to get some new shoes for work and stuff.
Right.
Alan, the shops are dead.
Yeah.
There's nobody in them.
Right.
I went in Shoe Zone to get some new shoes, and I said, "Are you up?"
Right.
I had the full shop to myself.
Yeah.
So
People
I'm just hoping that
people have got so used after 3 months to buy from the net and just go out once a week that instead of doing what used to be normal, everybody go to the shops every day and have a mooch around.
Well, this is it, isn't it?
They're not doing it, and also it isn't helped when in the big cities you've got people saying you can only walk down the left-hand side of the street or the and you go,
No, telling you what to do and when to do, and people don't know. It frightens people.
I don't think
I'm
it
telling
frightens
you-
me. It kind of just it amused me at first, and then I thought,
Yeah.
this guy doesn't trust people enough not to bump into each other if they were walking in opposite directions. Well, as soon as they get in the shop, what's going to happen?
I know.
They don't tell you
I
these
know.
things.
Well, it was.
Very
I
simple.
mean, I went in the card shop, the well-known card brand shop. There's a woman stood at the door. She sanitises your hands for you. There's a
Good.
one-way system. I said, "Oh, sorry, I wanted the dad's birthday cards." On the back at the beginning of the shop, so it was a whole. I had to go back round in the full circle.
And the problem is,
couldn't go back.
if you go past where you want, that's what you have to do every time. Mind you, in supermarkets, they have, there's an arrow here and there's an arrow. Nobody knows what the arrows mean. You know, there isn't actually anybody saying you can only go down here. So people go down and then they go, "Oh, I forgot my bananas," and then they turn around and walk straight back up again. That's
why they're better just coming out and letting us serve them the food. Let us bring the drinks to them.
right.
Brilliant fresh air up in Middleton, as you know.
Sure.
But
No, it's a lovely part of the world.
I'm a bit nervous. Like I'll not lie, but I'm more nervous about the unexpected rather than the safety, because I know we've got every safety aspect we can put in place.
Yeah.
We're ready for it. We're sort of ready and waiting now.
Right. No,
I
it's
mean, it shut the pub with a few hours' notice. This time we've got 10 days to prepare, and everything's ready. But now we're itching to go, really.
That's the thing. And mind you, people are
I couldn't afford to be off another month, Alan, to be honest.
No. You see,
I'm a hairline from going bankrupt myself.
join the rest of the planet. It's a lot of people in the north in exactly the same place. And yet, irrespective of a lack of money, everybody's just dying to get into a pub. And I know socializing's not really what you should do. But you see, this is where it gets silly again, because the government have said we can have 10 of our close circle of people around us. 10. Now,
and Alan, I've got to take every one of them 10's name, phone number, address as they come in the pub. We've got to be responsible for obtaining all that information and all the data protection, all the donkey work of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
my goodness,
we're ready for it though. But,
it's going to be a faff. But it's a first step. Give it a month or two.
The first few days are going to be sort of, we'll all be wondering what should and shouldn't happen. A few of my mates, I've spoken to 3 of my other landlord mates, they're not open until the 18th.
Right, I've heard that too. I've heard a lot of people have held it back. No.
Luckily, my boss is opening this coming weekend. And we're lucky because we're up in Teestill. We've got walkers and beautiful setting anyway.
Yeah. What's the thing? You said you got a French chef. What's his specialities? What's he serve up there that everybody comes for?
Well, at the minute, we're going to offer a bit of everything, limited menu. So we can have burgers and things for the walkers.
Right.
There's the caravan site reopening.
Right.
But, I mean, we specialise. It's been on the menu for 10 years. It's both bourguignon.
Oh,
and
right.
It's stuck slowly. But, Alan, I'll tell you what. I'll do you a deal now. You come up to the Foresters. I'll bed you down for the night now. I'll feed you a beautiful meal.
Well,
you hold me to that.
You had me at beef bourguignon, quite frankly. Hey, no, but thank you very much, Glenn. Stay well and good luck. You have to come on and let us know how it's working for you once you get back grafted.
I'll be back on soon, I'm sure. No problem.
Respect. Thanks for coming on. Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Oh, there you go. I've had the offer of a freebie from an escort, and now even Glenn wants to bed me down. What is it? Is it this strange cologne? Who knows? I think it's probably pheromones, because men have them, apparently pheromones. It's why dogs do your leg. 0191 488 3188. Let us speak to some superstars, but let's keep them northern, shall we? I was talking to the Pet Shop Boys about all things spooky as hell.
Oh, it's my seance.
What happened?
When I was, it's not a haunted house, I'm afraid, thing. When I was 16...
going on 17?
We had a seance. My parents went away on holiday, and some friends came over, and we had a seance. And we got this, you got the glass on the table.
Yeah.
And we said, "Who are you?" And it spelt out Oscar Wilde.
Whoa.
And then it spelt out this phrase. It said, "My dear children, you are so young. Do not make my mistakes."
That must have taken forever.
It did. And then we said, "Are you happy?" And he went, and the glass went, "No."
Oof.
And anyway, it was a spooky experience. And then this friend of mine said, "Will I become famous?" And it went, "No." And I said, "Will I become famous?" And it said, "Yes."
There you go.
That was kind of spooky. I don't think it's what you want, but anyway.
No, but it'll do. Thank you very much.
It's the closest you're going to get.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Tony, trusty taxi driver, says, Alan, I'm doing bugger all, sat in the Central Station car park, but the chavas are keeping me amused. The Sainsbury's security guy has the patience of a saint, because there's a skinny little knout posturing like Muhammad Ali and threatening all sorts. The security guy's just smiling and ignoring the little moron. It's taking all of my powers of self-control not to flatten him with my taxi. There's a divvy in all directions if you seek him out. Mark says, next week sees the opening of most, if not all, the pubs. Today I invited my mate round to my flat for a couple of cans for the first time since we went into lockdown. What I want to know is, have I gone a step too far, too soon, or would you say it's okay? Honestly, I would say it's okay as long as you're being careful. We're told by government, and let's face it, we have done what they've told us right from the very beginning. They've said you can have up to 10 people around, 10 close members of your circle. However, I wouldn't allow a stranger into my personal ring, if you know what I mean. Right, so that sounded much more worse than I thought. Let's have a look at some more. If every movie was made in the Northeast instead of The Way We Were, Had a Way We Were, very good. Raging Pitbull, brilliant. Instead of Moana, which is a classic Disney, a Reet Moana. Plessy Woods, Den of Thieves, brilliant. Lock, Stockton and Two Smoking Barrels. Live and Eat Pies, oh dear. Everything you need to know about Greg's, but we're afraid to ask, brilliant. Instead of Braveheart, Brave Tarts, let's face it, who else can wear a tiny mini skirt on a snowy day? There you go. Boogie Sunderland, now you see 'em, now you don't, brilliant. And this one, great for Teessiders, The Burrowers. There you go, brilliant. Mike's been on as well, he says, Alan, do you not think this lockdown plus social distancing has just become a joke? And therefore is more down to government control in the way they're trying, in my view, just to control the general public. It's all down to this track and trace, people telling people what they can do and what they can't do. I know several people, including myself, that tend to think it's conditioning the public for 2030 when you've got things like driverless cars coming in. What's your view? I don't trust a word, truly. I think the more they release, it's more of a joke, and it looks like the fallacy that it is. I'm not saying for 1 second that COVID was not a problem, but I don't believe that the lockdown was the answer, because like you said before, when's it a lockdown? It's not a lockdown. Social distancing's a waste of space because society isn't geared up for it. I believe that if it's in the stars that you're going to get it, there's nothing you can do about it. However, that doesn't mean that I don't buy the rule and do Dominic Cummings, for instance. Get the debating going and find out what other people's views are. Stay safe, says Mike. There you go. Where do you stand on this? Jobs. Janice Ferguson. Her best job was to get her granddad's newspaper and buy his wild woodbines. There you go. She was 10-year-old. She did it till she was 20. Dion Greaves, who is an Uber model. I've seen the picture. She's from Consett, up there in the mountains, where they breed the bonny ones. And Chris German, worst job, McDonald's. Rubbish pay, rubbish job, and the majority of the staff were not very nice. Alison Heslop. Now, she's a lass, is Alison. Table service in the bar, waitresses can now make a fortune. Because instead of just serving at the bar, where you don't get a tip, table service, tips. And what she says is, make sure the tray is wet when you give them their change, because the coins stick to the water and people can't pick it up. So they leave it on the tray. Brilliant. And Weldon Tommy says the worst job he had to do was to unblock the bog after his wife had been on it. He says it was enough to snuff you out. That's what he says. Brilliant. Let's get talking. I know Steve Wraith's coming up very, very soon. Kev from Ashington has just beaten him to it. Hi, Kev.
Hello, Alan. You all right?
I'm good, mate. What can we do for you tonight?
You were on about the worst and best jobs that you've had?
Yeah, absolutely.
The best job I had was, I went to join the army when I was 16.
Right.
And I got put off till I was 16 and 9 months old, so I had like 9 months spare.
Blimey, right.
And I used to go around and clean my nana's windows. I used to wash people's cars and stuff like that, you know, on the driveways.
Anything you could to bring some cash in.
Aye, couple of quid here and there.
Absolutely.
And, my nana used to give us loads of money and cakes every weekend. on a Sunday, all the family used to go on a run for a Sunday dinner.
Brilliant.
And it was like, don't touch them, they're Kevin's for cleaning my windows. And it was a great big pile of coconut haystacks.
Oh, that's all right. You see. Do you know, I think we'd all manage if we were paid in coconut haystacks.
Coconut haystacks, man. It's the way forward, isn't it?
It's what's missing out of life these days. Isn't it funny that Nana's always had a way of making the cool stuff? It was the very first place I ever tasted one of those cornflake chocolate things, you know.
Ah, the Crispies.
Crispies, there you go.
Aye.
Because she did them with, you say Crispies, with Rice Krispies, as well as cornflakes.
Cornflakes, aye.
Out that was going. I remember she even did them with Cocoa Pops when Cocoa Pops first came in. Beautiful.
Aye.
Blimey.
I used to go on a run with my little milk crate, you know, and put it down on the floor.
Great.
And my little squeegee thing, thinking I was a professional, you know, and she would be over the moon.
Did you just do the downstairs?
She just had a downstairs flat.
Ah,
right?
perfect.
She was in her 70s.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, brilliant.
aye. Brilliant.
Top job.
Aye.
Top job. Coconut haystacks. Now you're talking.
I had one of my worst jobs though was at a floppy disk factory, and when they used to do the floppy disks on a pallet to go onto the wagon, it was like 3,000 to 6,000 CDs or floppy disks on a pallet.
Blimey, right.
And if somebody through the day spilt a pallet, they would just leave them for the later shift to come in and tidy them up. You know?
Oh no, right.
What a nightmare.
6,000 of them just on the floor, having to be picked up one by one.
Or up in the racking, you would have to climb up in the racking and try and get them on the pallet the best you could.
That's a million job. That's not good.
That's why I quit.
Not surprised. Not surprised. And not a coconut haystack in sight.
No, I need coconut haystacks for that job, like.
Brilliant, Kev. Thank you very much for coming on.
Are you enjoying it at this job, or did you prefer your other job?
Love this job. Would love another 4 or 5 days, if you know what I mean. But loving it so far. But thank you very much for coming on, Kev. All the best, mate.
No bother, Alan.
Take it easy.
Speak to you, mate.
Good.
Last time I spoke to you, I got I won the box of pies.
Oh, from the Prince of Pies, of course.
Prince of Pies, I won it twice, aye.
Brilliant. Were they good?
Saturday morning, knock at the door. What the hell's that? Down to the door, open like a shoebox size box full of pies.
Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing.
Tremendous.
Tikka, the lot.
Excellent.
Aye.
Glad you enjoyed them. Thanks for coming back, Kev. Appreciate it.
Nice one, Alan.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Now, we mentioned Steve Wraith's put a cat amongst pigeons for Newcastle United fans. Well, Newcastle sadly went out today of the FA Cup, and we know it's a dream, and yes, we would love to think they had the capability. As I said earlier, my personal belief, until they actually get a Premiership quality striker, they're always going to struggle, and they always will. And with all due respect to the whole, suddenly we're going to buy every major star, including Lionel Messi, if the takeover goes ahead, blimey. Steve Wraith decided he was going to blog about it, and he basically said it's not going to be any smooth running, it's going to drag on and on and on and on. Why, it always has. It's caused a furore in all departments. So I mentioned earlier, we haven't planned this. We've just contacted him out the blue, and bless him, Steve is on the line. Hello, Steve.
How are you, mule pal?
I'm
you okay?
Great to hear from you, man. Thank you for coming on. It's such short notice.
No problem.
What decided you to go out and let it out? Because frankly, this was like, I have dander that must escape the body, otherwise it will harm me. Why did you feel the need to go out and rant it, really?
Well, to be honest, Alan, over the lockdown period, with everybody being locked up and not being able to go out, we just decided to give some content on YouTube. You know, we've used I've used my own YouTube channel, and we just set up a program called NUFC Matters. So what I've been doing is speaking to a lot of the ex-legends who've played for Newcastle, and they've all given up their time for free, as I have. And we've just done a nightly blog, really just talking about what was going on, and obviously the takeover, which has been ongoing for about 14 weeks now, was.
Or was it 14 years? It was one of the.
Well, it feels like 14 years, yeah, but 14 weeks really since like, you know, the company's house story broke about the new potential owners putting their names on paperwork, and it's just been, it's dragged on, you know, social media as it is, it basically it makes it a talking point. And the media have been very you know, looking for clickbait, shall we say. There's been various journalists putting up different stories, and it's very misleading. So I've spent a firefighting job really over the last 14 weeks trying to put various stories out and trying to keep people calm and, you know, not to wind people up about the whole situation, because it's just, you know, it causes anxiety for a lot of Newcastle fans.
Sure.
So all we've basically said is, look, you know, this could go on for a bit longer, because, you know, there is protocol, there is things that you've got to do, there's boxes these people have got to tick, and ultimately we're living through uncertain times, and the Premier League have had to deal with, you know, Project Restart, which is no small feat, you know, at all really. Getting football back has been a major achievement, but it's not football as we know it, because as we know there's no crowds there, and then, you know, they've got to get this takeover sorted out. So I think we're going to reach an end game very soon, but I just think people need to be a little bit more patient and hope that, you know, we'll get the right result. I think we will, but I think what's really upset a lot of fans is just the ongoing stories which have come out, and they've got no substance behind them, that they're literally just clickbait, and I think that's been the most annoying thing for Newcastle fans. And we just try to put people's minds at rest. But look, there's been reaction to stuff that we've put out, but I would say it's probably been more positive reaction than anything else. You know?
But the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is, usually by the time it hits the press, the deal's kind of done. And all you need is somebody to say, oh, okay, it can go ahead. Surely it doesn't normally take the Premier League 14 weeks, does it?
It takes about, look, if you look back on the previous takeovers in the Premier League, Alan, it's taken anything in between 8 and 10 weeks under normal circumstances. Right. But, of course, these aren't normal circumstances. And first of all, with regards to it breaking into the public domain, I think we're unique Newcastle fans, and maybe even fans of the North East clubs, because, you know, if there's something going on, we all look, we're all very inquisitive, we're all going to be looking for things. And things like the company's house page are public knowledge, they're out there. So, of course, because Newcastle's been the subject of a takeover or alleged takeovers in the last few years, then people are quite inquisitive. And because of social media now, you have people who will go onto these companies' house pages and they'll have them logged onto their computer. So they might check it inadvertently, and then suddenly it's there. So then they put it on Twitter. So we have instant news now. So then it becomes an issue. Now that could have, let's just say, 20 years ago, had there been a takeover attempt at Newcastle and that had been lodged with Company's House, nobody would have known about it. It wouldn't have been accessible on the internet, and there wouldn't have been any social media, so no one would have known about it. And the takeover would have taken however long it would have taken, and then it would have been reported by the newspapers once there's been a press release from the club. Yeah. But now we're all independent reporters sitting at home. We can all go and pick something up, and then somebody puts something out onto social media, and it becomes a fact, and that's the problem. So what I've done, and there's probably 2 or 3 others out there, you know, there's a young lady called Michelle who's a lawyer, and her good partner, Mr. Rosser, you know, they've been trying to calm things down on a legal front. I've been doing it from a fan's perspective, but also from somebody who's actually met the prospective buyer, Amanda Staveley. Right. You know, we've all been trying to put a level head on it. You've got Neil Mitchell in Dubai, who he had involvement with the previous takeover people, BZG. The list endless of people who've been trying to smooth the waters over, but every now and then there can be a spat or something can blow up, and it's happened a few times. But I've got to be honest, Alan, I feel like I've spent the last 3 months almost counselling a lot of Newcastle fans, and it's especially at a time when things aren't normal. Some people are out of work, some people are furloughed, some people are have got no idea where their next meal's coming from. But as you know, in Newcastle, mate, it's like a religion, and everybody's so focused on what's going on with the takeover, and it's the one thing that will give us all a lift. If we got the news this week that the takeover was going to go through, everybody would be on cloud nine. Yeah,
but hang on, just a cotton picking minute there, Steve. People, when John Hall, Sir John, a legend, when he decided to step down and move away from the business, and we ended up with a new owner, and we found out his credentials, and we found out the kind of person that he was. And at first everybody was optimistic, and then slowly but surely the tide turned, and that's kind of where it still is. The tide is firmly against the current owner. It's not like the press don't have a lot to write about with this next guy. I mean, the kind of stuff he's been allegedly involved with, surely if ever people had a right to have a chin wagging of gossip, it's going to be about someone with his credentials, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're talking about, MBS, who's obviously the man who is in charge of Saudi Arabia, but it's the PIF who are obviously looking to be the major shareholder of the football club, which is it's the pension fund of Saudi Arabia. 80% of the ownership would be transferred to them, but obviously there's also a percentage will go to Amanda Staveley, who has been trying to spearhead this since 2017.
She comes across as a diamond in the middle of all of this, mind, in fairness.
Lovely woman. As I say, I've had the privilege of meeting her, she's driven, and I think she would probably make fantastic chairperson, should the takeover go through. And you've also got the Reuben brothers, who, if you look into the Reuben brothers on the internet, they've got already huge investment in the northeast. They own the Gosford Park Racecourse. They own the old site of the Odeon Cinema in Newcastle and all that surrounding area where the Stack is. So, they've invested heavily in the area, and they'll be coming in as a percentage holder as well. So, you've got basically an opportunity here. And if I accept what you're saying, there's human rights issues with Saudi Arabia in particular. But, from my perspective, when you look at it, then that's a political issue. Sure. It's not a sporting issue. And, from my perspective, that's up to the government to decide. Now, we all know that our government, do deals with Saudi Arabia, and they've already categorically stated that they won't have anything to do with this deal. They certainly won't step in the way of it, despite some politicians making their points heard. Amnesty International have quite rightly had their say again. More than entitled to be heard. Khashoggi's girlfriend has obviously written more than one letter to the Premier League expressing her dismay that potentially Saudi Arabia could be involved in buying a Premier League club, namely Newcastle United. So it's I think what the Premier League have done here, and I think they've done it quite wisely, is I think, despite them saying that it isn't the case, is that they've taken their time to listen to every single person's argument. They've also looked at the WTO report, which is obviously about piracy. And, they've now, you would look at it now and say last week, Saudi Arabia suddenly started clamping down on piracy in the country. 231 channels taken down. Huge fines set up to fine anyone who was found to be breaking the rules or laws.
So they're trying to do their own due diligence at home to make the path clear to get the deal they want.
nobody really knows whether this is connected, but, I think we all look at it and
Looks
go,
like it.
hold on a minute.
Yeah.
There's definitely some movement here. Maybe this is connected to it, and maybe the Premier League have come back and said, look, get your house in order, we won't have an issue. So, look, the waiting game is still on. It's disappointing that the waiting game's still on, but I think, the old adage is, good things go to those who wait, and I think, Newcastle United fans will certainly get a nice surprise, within the next few weeks.
I just hope we all live long enough, Steve.
Well, we've waited 65 years to win a trophy. We're now going to have to wait 66 years now to win a domestic trophy after that abysmal game tonight. It's not good. Look, I mean, the most important thing, Alan, is isn't football, of course. It's what's going on, in the world. And,
Sure.
We've got the pandemic, which is, still rife. And I've been listening to your show, as I often do. And, it's walking through the streets of Newcastle to do me walk, as I have done since this lockdown started. It's sad to see, the people are, craving a drink that much that they're putting on their best gear and, feel it standing outside various bars in Newcastle to queue for a pint of lager in a plastic glass and then go and stand underneath the Tyne Bridge where they risk getting, covered in birds muck is what they classify a great night out now. I think there needs to be a bit of common sense, Alan. I think I think people need to realise that we're still in the grips of this, and people need to really screw their loaf on. And I know we all want to get back to normal. We all want to be able to go to the match. We all want to be able to pick and choose when we go to a bar or a cinema or a theatre. But I think that if we all start rushing back into the what we call the norm and not paying attention to looking after each other, then we're going to set ourselves back here. And I think that's a big worry for me as a human being, not just a Newcastle fan.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Steve. I've saved your life on about 6 to 7 occasions.
Right, go on.
You were in a film. You've been in a few bits and pieces, but you were in a film, one of these, the gangster thing, and you were a baddie.
Right, the foot soldier.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got killed in it, but every time I see it, I rewind it so you come back to life again.
Thanks, Alan. I knew I could rely on you, mate.
Tell you, it's a gift. Steve, lovely talking to you. You're a diamond. Thanks for coming on such short notice. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Take care. Bye-bye. Now, Steve's a good lad. Yeah, he was in one of those foot soldier movies. And, he was in it just long enough for you to go, that's Steve. Oh, he's dead. But he was in one. That's a tick in the old box for most people fancy being in a film of some sort. Anyway, let's crack on. We have Karen from Bishop Auckland next. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about tonight?
I messaged you last week, but by the time you messaged me back, I'd switched off and gone to bed.
How dare you?
It was just, you were asking about places people had been, so I just said I'd been to Petra that was featured in one of the, what do you call them? Harrison Ford films.
Oh, the Indiana Jones?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, of course it was. It's in the desert. It's that beautiful, it almost looks like a Roman kind of thing, but it's just on the side of a cliff.
Yes, it's amazing.
What's in there?
Nothing.
What, you go all the way in the desert?
Oh, there's lots of things to see, but there's nothing. They call that one the treasury.
Right, but there's no treasure.
No. Well, if there was, it wasn't there when I was there, put it like that. But there's nothing inside. It's just a void inside.
Karen, stay exactly where you are. My apologies. We've got to take a very quick break, but I'll come back straight to you in 2 minutes. Hang on in there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another very juicy, grisly tale we have for you. And we are starting with something that, well, maybe you have already begun. Do you collect body parts? Well, chances are you don't, but I bet you probably have. Do you remember when you were a little kid and you picked that scab off your knee and it was about the size of a small pizza? You wanted to keep that. You stuck that in a matchbox. You kept that in your desk for weeks. Then I can remember as a child, one kid in my class kept his snots in a small medicine bottle until it was completely full. I know it sounds gross, but there is an ounce of fascination to the whole thing. Like mothers who keep the umbilical cord of their babies. People don't think twice of that. Or what about mothers that keep the teeth of their children? You know, their baby teeth. There's a lot of parents that have done that. And are they creepy or spooky or peculiar? However, there are out there quite a few celebrity body parts that you may have come across. If you haven't, let me tell you what to keep an eye out for. Not sure you'll see too many at your local car boot sale, especially when we get back to being able to have one, or your local jumble sale or church raffle. However, this is what's available. Albert Einstein's eyes. They were taken out by his ophthalmologist, Dr. Henry Abrams, during his autopsy back in 1955, and they were put in a safety deposit box.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And we are in the middle of a conversation with Karen, so let's go straight back there to Bishy. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Right, so what made you go to Petra? Because it's not like you can get a bus direct. It's
No, you can't. We'll have to go on a cruise to get there.
Wow. What was the cruise like?
Amazing.
I'm presuming this is down the Nile.
No, it was the Red Sea and up to Aqaba.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you're on this cruise and you end up, one of the trips is obviously down to Petra.
Down to Petra.
Fantastic. So presumably you'd have somebody there to tell you all about it.
Oh, yes. They put the proper experts on and you get the information and everything, but you have to plan for it because you're away at about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, blimey.
And you don't get back till probably 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night.
Have they got a toilet?
Oh, yes.
Have they? I was going to say, where do you just whittle in the sand dune?
Oh, no. And you go in a group.
Right.
So
what, for a whittle?
Oh, no. Well, actually, you probably would rather not go when you got to the place to do that.
Right, because you see, that would be the Yellow Sea if you all went together, not the Red Sea. So when you go there, though, it's just a separate netty block somewhere.
No, there's just a room with no door and a hole in the ground.
So you've got to be a bit of an aimer then.
You've got to have somebody with you to stand on the door as well.
Oh no!
So it put my daughter off.
Yeah, so she came home constipated, I'm guessing.
Wouldn't go anywhere, no.
But this is the thing that I don't understand about you women in general. Because if I've got a wee, I got a wee. And it's going to happen. And it'll happen round about when you feel the need.
Mm-hmm.
You women, you're like camels. You just say, I haven't had a wee today. I'll wait till I get home.
I'll wait till I get back. Exactly.
What? But it's 5 hours and you're still... And I never see you like dancing or clenching like we do, you know. If you...
Well, maybe we do it differently.
Yeah, so did you actually... You obviously hovered over the whole...
No, I waited till we got to the hotel at the end at Petra.
Right.
And then you had to walk down. You got off the bus in a troop and walked down with your guide. And it was probably a couple of miles down the gorge.
Wow, right.
And then you literally, as in the film, when he's racing that horse,
Yeah.
This is the only part I've ever seen of an Indiana Jones film.
You haven't seen the film?
No.
Because the inside's totally different to what's obviously really there.
Yeah, you go down the gorge and you do a big steep curve and come out, and the treasury is right in front of you. And the sun was hitting it when we got there, and it was gleaming red.
Right.
And then you just continue down the gorge to all the other things to see. And there's an arcade, a marble walkway, which was where the shops were.
Back in the day?
Yes, back in the day, yes.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. And there's loads to see. You can't see it all in one day. I think we were there about 10 hours.
Right.
And you just go off and wander, or you go with the group, or do your own thing, and then meet back up at a certain time and work your way back out of the gorge up to the cliffs at the top to get the coach back.
It's funny, because the world is a beautiful, an amazing place, and I always say to people, travel, go and see amazing things in amazing places, because they're everywhere. And quite often, like Petra, you're nowhere, you see nothing. It looks like, where the hell am I going? And then you pop around a corner and then
there it is.
Boom,
yeah.
There it is. And it's the Trevi Fountain in Rome is exactly the same. I was walking past a bus station and I'm thinking, this is a scruffy, dirty place.
Exactly.
You turn around the corner and then...
We were quite underawed by it, because we were expecting this massive thing to see the Trevi Fountain, and there was like an ice cream bar behind us and a burger bar, and you couldn't see it for all the people, so it was a bit of a... How they get the nice photographs of it, I don't know. There's no visitors there that day.
I must admit, I was there quite early in the morning, and there was very few people there, so I could hoy me coin in and make me wish. I didn't do one of those things like the actress, like, walking through the water, because you get arrested these days for, like in the film La Dolce Vita. But I just came around the corner. To be honest, I didn't know it was there, and I wasn't aiming for it. I was just walking through the back streets of Rome, and then you kind of go... Whoa! Look at this, out of the blue. But that's the joy of travel. It's just coming across those strange, amazing things.
At Petra, as you walk down the gorge, you're getting told stuff all the time, and there's like a gully channeled out of the stone all the way down, and every couple of 100 yards there's like a trough hewed out of the stone.
All right.
And the Nabateans that lived there were experts at conserving water.
Mm-hmm.
And the water used to run down these gullies and collect in these troughs to feed the city.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
And this was 4 BC.
4 years before it all happened, right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
But this is the thing. I just think, particularly here in Britain, we have a problem taking up good ideas. Because when the Romans were here... They had toilets that washed all your stuff away. They flushed it all away, and it took us like another 2,000 years, pretty much, for us to start. Oh, we could put plumbing in the house. We could wash away all our poo, and they were doing it when they were up on the Roman wall.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you see it all when if you're lucky enough to get somewhere like that. Luckily, I've been. I don't need to go back.
No, you're very lucky, because that's one of the. Again, we talk about ticking boxes. That's certainly one of the places that.
Well, the
should go
same
and
cruise
see.
we did the pyramids as well.
Great.
And the Nile, and Tutankhamun's tomb was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was on the box list.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was lucky enough when we were making a program called Alien Jesus 2. I went to Egypt and climbed up to the top of a pyramid. And when you're on the top of a pyramid, it is the most bizarre, weird. It's almost like you feel like there's a spacecraft going to come down and suck you up.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But to see the way that even the blocks were cut in a way that they didn't have the technology to cut them, it was
amazing.
It is an amazing.
It is. There's one thing about the pyramids that sticks in my mind.
What's that?
You have this vision of the pyramids way out in the desert. And of course, they're not. They're right on the edge of the city.
Yeah.
And you've got the dual carriageway zooming up and down and all the people living on the sides.
Yeah.
And you pull into the car park, and the first thing we saw, we should have been going, oh my goodness, look at the pyramids, was a Morrison's carrier bag blowing across the car park.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, dear me.
We couldn't believe it. Yeah. And there was quite a lot of people from the northeast on it, so everybody was commenting on these in Tumbleweed in cowboy films,
Yeah.
how they roll across, and it was rolling across the car park.
It's the modern day tumbleweed, the plastic bag, sadly, isn't it? That's
yes. Anyway, Petra was well worth seeing.
Not brilliant. Well, hey, thank you very much for
You're
coming
welcome,
on. That's
Alan. It's good to hear you back on the radio.
Well, bless you. Thank you so much, Karen. You take care, my love.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And she lovely. Incidentally, we are giving one of these away. Hang on. I've got to get a ring that'll make a noise. There you go. Night Owls, more get to those phones. I haven't given you your first clue yet, so I'm going to do it now. I'm going to give you 4 clues. You'll end up having 4 words from a greatest hit. This is one of the greatest of greatest hits. The first clue, an extremely strong wind like a typhoon. Also the name of a British World War II fighter plane. An extremely strong wind like a typhoon. Also the name of a British World War II fighter plane. That's your first clue tonight. Get ready for it. And don't forget, on Greatest Hits Radio across the week, we've got our cash register. There is a life-changing amount of money waiting there for you to win. That's a fortune. If you like winning prizes on the radio, this is well worth taking a look at. And, of course, we've been compiling the top 200 hits born in the USA. So this Saturday is the 4th of July. You're going to be getting non-stop greatest hits from the USA across that. Coran Hall says, "Evening, Alan. Greetings from Durham. I've had a naff day. Nice to hear a friendly voice. I'm sending you an audio cuddle right there." Carlos Gross Pantil says, "Alan, when can we talk about fetishes? I used to eat the sponge in the bath." Never thinking in those days it was a communal sponge. Oh, just think what that's cleaned. Just think, rather you than me. Anyway, let's get cracking. Who else is out there? We have Georgia, who is in Carlisle. Hi, Georgia.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. What can we do for you tonight?
I'm wanting to spread the word about my little boy, who we are trying to get raise £500,000 to take him to Singapore to hopefully get life-saving treatment for his leukemia.
Oh, my goodness. There's nothing that the National Health Service can do?
No, so we've had 2 transplants on the NHS over the last 16 months, and unfortunately he's relapsed after both of those. His latest relapse was on June the 8th, and we were told there was no more treatment available in the UK. So we're hoping to travel to get like a trial, compassionate treatment in Singapore.
Now, presumably, and this is a horrible thing to say, but I mean, have the National Health Service said, you've had your whack, that's all you're going to get? I mean, why has it come to this? Because I presumed if they'd started treating them, they'd see that treatment through no matter how long, because they have no guarantee that what they do is going to sort it out or anything.
It's the type of leukemia he has. He's got T-cell ALL.
Right.
And unfortunately, if transplant, once you relapse after transplant, there's not a lot that will target that in the UK.
Right.
So it's they've got a trial, CAR T-cell. There's CAR T-cell treatment for the UK for B-cell ALL, but unfortunately not for T-cell. So there is trials for that in Singapore, and that's what we're hoping to try now. After his first transplant and he relapsed, we were told that there was nothing we could do. He had quite an aggressive relapse.
Right.
But we managed to get on a trial drug in the UK, and that got his leukemia under control and got it down again.
Right.
So we could try a second transplant. But he was doing really, really well, 6 months almost post-transplant, when we were told at a routine checkup that he'd relapsed and the leukemia was back.
So how much are we talking about for this treatment in Singapore? Because a lot of the treatments that you get in other countries, some of them are a reasonable amount of money, but most of them are just astronomical.
Yeah. It's £500,000
Jeepers.
to be paid up front, and that is just for his treatment. That's not including our living costs or anything over there. Our consultant has says that we're probably looking at being there for up to a year. And there's me, my little boy Stanley, his dad, and we've got a little girl as well called Delilah. So we'll all have to move over there for up to a year, and
That's provided you can raise £500,000 at a time when everybody's on the cheeks of their backside. My goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't got a very big window either. You know, we're talking like a few weeks' time to be able to try and raise it.
How are you going about it? What have you put in place to try and get some money in?
So we set up a a Just Giving page.
Right.
And I set up a page on Facebook called Save Our Stan. And I added my friends, and then they added their friends, and it's kind of took off so well, to be honest.
How far have you got so far? How much you got?
So far on the Just Giving page, there's 211,000.
Wow.
And that's in 10 days.
That is incredible.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. The response we've had, I mean, it's been, honestly, the whole community is totally pulling together. I've got a great team of people around me and our family that are pushing it, you know, trying to get it out there as much as they can to raise awareness. And
now, you see, this is a gigantic pot that you've got to start with.
Yeah.
And yet they have said to you, though, they'll not even start treating them until you've got £500,000. I mean, first of all, £100,000 is a fortune. You've got more than double that, and yet you've got to more than double it again.
I know it is like I said at first, you know, if it was 250,000 or 300,000, you kind of feel like you're getting somewhere, but we've raised so much already, and to know that there's still a lot to go, it is pretty scary. But
so how much longer have you got to raise this money? If you can do 211,000 in 10 days, which I think is miraculous, how much longer have you got to go to get the rest?
We're looking at probably up to around 6 weeks, but that's us going over there. So I'm not sure, you know, how much before we need to get the funds over. So we haven't got an exact time frame, but time is of the essence.
No,
really.
absolutely. So 6 weeks. So where do people go if they want to chuck some money into this to help Sam out?
It is on Just Giving, and if you type in on the search bar, Save Our Stan, followed by the number 1 with no spaces, just all one word.
Save Our Sam 1, right.
Save Our Stan 1, yeah.
And that's 1 the number, not the word.
Yeah, 1 the number.
Save Our Sam 1 on Just Giving. Save our Stan, sorry. Save Our Stan on Just Giving. But Save Our Stan number 1, make sure you press that. £211,000 in 10 days. As I say, that is gigantic. Well done to everybody that's raised that. And fingers crossed that it comes good. I just would love to think that some of these people that say, because let's face it, we've heard that a lot of people have invested and made an absolute fortune during this COVID period. Some of the rich people we've heard have doubled and trebled their money. Yeah. While everybody else has been losing theirs. I would love to think that one of these characters would come forward and say, I'll make up the rest of it. That would be a dream come true. But
you know, we had a cash donation of £50,000 put in anonymously.
Oh, wow.
There is some such kind people, honestly, around. It's amazing. Every single penny helps, and I'm so grateful for everything everyone's done so far. And we just have to stay positive and hope we can
keep going,
reach the target and get there, yeah.
So Just Giving, Save Our Stan, number 1. If you can spare any money, this is going towards an operation, and we only have 6 weeks to get to that top total. It would be great if we could. Good luck to you, and thank you for coming on, George. You're all the best, love.
Thank you very much, Alan.
No worries. Oh, my goodness. It just puts into perspective the troubles that we have, doesn't it? And if he doesn't get that, who knows what will happen. Now, Emma is in Tynemouth. Let's go there. Oh, the nights we've had in the Gibraltar Rock. Hello, Emma.
Hello, hi.
Hi, love. What are you talking about tonight?
I just was so wanting to let you know what happened about my Instagram account.
Oh, what happened to it?
So, I've got a little beagle, and he's got over 31,000 followers on Instagram.
You've got a popular beagle, right?
He's a popular little beagle. And he gets photos all around the northeast.
Right.
For Newcastle, and wherever he goes, he gets a little picture and shows legacy. So a lot of his fans are local.
What's his name?
But he's called Carl the Beagle.
Carl the Beagle, right.
Carl the Beagle.
Okay.
So about two weeks ago, 3 weeks on Tuesday, he got it hacked, his account.
Right.
By just suddenly happened. And what we're trying to do is we've contacted Instagram and just been back and forth and sending emails and putting like a request in to say like his account's been blocked. The hacker accessed all my emails and changed all my passwords.
Oh, that's a nightmare, right.
And so I've had to change bank cards, all sorts of things have gone. Like WhatsApp, I've had to delete my WhatsApp, and my Facebook changed all my passwords. So,
what a class!
That all seems okay.
Yeah.
But, it's been a bit of a nightmare to say the least.
No, absolutely. And why would they do that? Just to mess you up?
Yeah, pretty much.
They didn't get any details like financial stuff, did they?
I don't think they've done that.
Good.
I think we've acted on it. Just
keep an eye on your bank accounts and stuff like that, though. You know, just be careful, because it's amazing what these creatures can do once they get in. Is the thing. Did they take pictures down of Carl?
No, I mean at the minute, fingers crossed. They're still haven't deleted or
right. No, they're just you were the target, not the beagle. That sounds it.
It seems so. Yeah, I'm not quite fully sure what they want, but so far I haven't deleted the account. So if I delete the account, then it's all over. But
let's just hope that's the end of it now that you've kind of re-secured the site. That's the main thing. I just don't see what people get out of destroying, ripping down what people have created like yourself. You got 31,000 people that love your dog. That's a lovely thing that you've done. And you'd have thought people would have wanted to support it, not rip it down. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I mean, we do a lot of like local businesses and like Beagle Welfare. We've done a bit with them, and
right.
It's such a shame to people that do this, but
absolutely.
Hopefully we can get it fixed.
Yeah, I hope so. There's a lot of just scumbags that have got nothing better to do, Emma. That's the thing. But thank you for coming on. Let's hope that's the end of it. Thank you, sweetheart. You take care.
Thank you.
Stroke Carl the Beagle for me, if you would. Thank you for that. I got a lot of messages. Betty Tomworth said, well, you know, worst jobs. She said, I've had a wee in a hot tub and then I drank some of the water. Am I bad? I don't think you're bad, but I would question your breath. Also, hi, Alan. I'm only 21. I've been listening to you for years now. Really love all of the ghost hunts. All available on robsonsworld.com. I listen to your voice every night when I fall asleep. Struggle sleeping without it now. Just wondering if you're still into all of that. Absolutely, we're still going to be doing more. My dad, Craig, loves you too, so if you could give him a shout out, that would be great. Thanks from Kirsty. Thank you, Kirst. And hi, Alan. I was a cleaner at Eurosil for 7 weeks, cleaning toilets, but I couldn't keep my temper in the end because somebody walked all over them before they were dry and messed them up again. And Yvonne, the job coach, got me to mop them 6 times, said Stephen. There you go. There's no such thing as a clean netty ever, it seems. Time for a piece of music, but let's talk to some more superstars. It's what we do. It's the Night House, where the stars come out at night, including the Manic Street Preachers.
You're asking the weatherman of pain, you.
I've had a bad run. I had a prolapse disc last year.
Oh, dear.
I was touring on all these painkillers, trying to remember the notes. I've had an operation on my knee because I had to have it all cleaned out. The list goes on. Perhaps the funniest is we were about to do a radio session and James was making himself a sandwich and kind of chopped the top of his finger off.
Yeah.
Shame.
I didn't even feel it, and kind of like I just thought the ketchup bottle had spilled, and I was like, oh god. And then the little kind of sound of like high pitched wasp noise was in my head, like. Zzz.
Oh,
I think the worst thing that happened to me physically in the band was when we were recording "Send Away the Tigers" in Ireland. There was a gym there, and I just thought, kind of like just the weights there. So I was on the weights for 2 days, just going, I eat weights. This is easy. And then the third day I woke up in bed and I just couldn't move my arms. I couldn't move them at all. So somebody had to, every time I did a guitar take, somebody had to place the guitar on my lap and then move my arms to the guitar. Overdid it.
Superstars they are. And talking about sessions, have a listen to this on the Night Owls.
Alan Robson's Night Owls.
The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now we got some we'll start that again. We got some Duran that we're going to be playing pretty soon, and I want to dedicate that to George Birdsey. Joanne has been on. She says, please read this out on tonight's show. A fellow night owl, our loving father, George Birdsey, Geordie Birdsey as people knew him, died in hospital on Tuesday night. He fell asleep and he didn't wake up. He's going to be a big miss. He was only 71. He was a loving husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, and so very much more. He loved the show, and even when he was in hospital, he used to listen to it. Please give him a mention. Well, I will. I'm also going to play that Duran track because it's called Save a Prayer. So when you hear that, Joanne, you know that is for Geordie. Now, if every movie ever made was in the Northeast, now there's one that I can't really do the way that it is. The jazz singer was, of course, Al Jolson, the very first talkie. It was also remade as a Neil Diamond film when he played a Jewish cantor in a synagogue. This one's very rude. They've changed the word jazz. You'll have to make your mind up what that one was. And turned it into flinger, and we're not even going there. We've also got Nissan Easy Does It. Oh, dear me. Revenge of the Filth. Oh, dear. Instead of Venom, Phenom. And I love this. The Swarland the Time Forgot. Brilliant. Keep them coming. If every movie ever made was in the Northeast, what was it called? As we go across and talk to Dion, who's not at the top of the mountain. She's not at the bottom of the mountain. She's kind of halfway up in Stanley. Hi, Dion.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling.
I'm in Consett.
You're in Consett?
I'm not Stanley.
I've got Stanley. She's a moon woman.
I'm up the mountains, man.
I was going to say. Right, good talking to you. What are you talking about then, Dion?
Well, I wanted to say hi. Long time no speak.
Good.
It's been a while.
Thank you, darling.
Can you remember when I won the Barbados stuff?
I can, absolutely.
I've still got everything.
Great.
Alan, do you know what it is? I'm in a right crisis at the minute.
What's the matter?
Right, well, I've got you on my big screen, on my TV, right? Through my Fire Stick, right?
Right.
And I had a spider the other day that went missing in my bedroom. Now it's like Blackpool Illuminations, and there's a spider. It's in the corner of my room. So...
What, it's there now?
Aye.
Oh,
it's a big black... Like, it's one of them fast ones, and I'm petrified, I'm shaking.
So hang on, is it up there? Because I'm pointing now. Is it up there, or is it up there?
It's down there beside me bed.
Down there?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So can you not get it with a tissue?
But Alan, it's got on the cuff of the wallpaper, and I don't know if it...
I tell you one thing, if you squish it, spider juice for some reason doesn't come off.
I know that marked me walls. It's gone from the thingy, man. I don't know where it's gone. It's running round in my room.
The thing is, because it's a fast one, that I had this white duvet on my bed once, and I was just sitting there watching the telly like you, and this spider ran like 100 miles an hour, ran on top of the duvet about a foot from my head, and then it ran straight back underneath. Everything had to go on, all the lights, the bedding out. I wasn't going to settle till I got that little beast.
Well, I've got my lamp on, I've got my big light on, and I'm having a sweat on, and I'm like, wrong timing. You know, I thought I'll wait till Alan comes online, and then I've got somebody to speak to crunch my nerves a bit. But then I don't know where it's gone.
So where was it last?
Well, I tried to catch it in a bottle the other day. It was walking up my wall, and
You tried to catch it in a bottle? How is that ever going to work?
Well, it jumped. It went somewhere and it vanished.
Right.
So I've waited. I think this was on Friday, and now it's just appeared again.
Oh, but the thing is, what's it been doing for 2 days to you?
Yeah, exactly. What if it goes in my mouth?
Up your nose.
Oh, Alan, don't make us more. I'll be sleeping with the light on. I'll sleep downstairs, me.
Now, the thing is, do you wear Jimmy Jams? Do you wear Jimmy Jams?
Well, I've got my pyjamas on, so it won't be going up my nunny, that's for sure.
Well, you see, it's just any place where there's a nook and cranny is the thing. You gotta be careful. I mean, some men sleep with an elastic band tied around the end just in case.
You make us more nervous, I swear. So how's things things going then?
Things are all well, as well as can be expected, but thank you for asking.
Well, it seems a lot better having you through my telly, so I could see you, but you can't see me, instead of just being on the phone to each other.
But I would have been able to gauge you into the spider, you see, if I could see. That's the only difference.
Don't.
Well, we've got a few plans about televisualising some more full night owls in weeks and months to come. So that's part of our plan. It's going to take a few months to do it, but we'll get there too. We'll have hopefully...
Come to those who wait, Alan. I've always doted on that one.
It would be good if we could guarantee. We'll do our darndest to make it happen. But Dion, thank you for coming on. Great to catch up with you again.
Well, can I just say a few things?
Absolutely.
Do you know how you were saying where you work and or the good and the bad place where you work? Well, I work at Glenroyd House.
Right.
In Consett.
What is that? Explain.
It's like a food bank.
All right, brilliant. Good on you.
And it does loads of courses there and everything.
Uh-huh.
And Alan, I've been working there since January. Well, you've got to start somewhere.
Sure.
It's been a lot of years since I've worked.
Right.
And they do courses and everything, and I'm just voluntary there, and I love it a bit. Absolutely love it. And they do...
Have you not been stored out with people over the last few months? Surely you must
I love meeting new people, Alan.
No, but what I mean is, has it been really super busy?
Been really, really busy.
No, I bet.
It actually put me... I've got bad anxiety, right? And from it going from normal to not normal, it was just so, putting off for me. So I went to write to Michelle, and I just didn't go in for a few weeks.
Right.
Because I was so scared. But it just, you had to hover around people, tiptoeing around people. It was weird. But it was just all for the food bank people, families needing help, and you know what I mean? It was just...
I think it's tough for a lot of people who are independent, and they don't want to be seen to be asking, but they need the help. It's a tough place.
A lot of people out, and a lot of messages come through. How do I go about getting there? The food banks, food and stuff like that. So I've had to guide them through it.
Good.
And they do face masks there, and honestly, they've made a fortune. But all that goes into things that's needed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's lovely there. It's like a life-changing thing for me.
Well, the thing is, the food banks literally are a lifesaver for so many people.
Definitely.
If they can't get enough food, hell, what happens to their families and their kids and stuff?
Exactly.
I just think it's an awful tough thing, and I know a few people.
It's a good idea as well.
Great.
Because it does help the community out who really needs the help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just that you know yourself that if you've worked all your life and then all of a sudden you've got to go to a food bank.
I was working. I'd done 1 year of hairdressing. I've worked a few places, and then I had kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I've been out of the job prospect for
a little while.
A lot of years.
This will give you. Hopefully, this will give you the confidence to get back at it.
Well, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting my self-esteem back, my confidence back. So I'm rebuilding up on all of that, and it actually helps me anxiety out as well, and I love it.
Now, I've got some bad news for you.
What?
Claire's just sent a message. She lives in Consett too.
Yeah.
And she says, could you please tell this lady that her nunny's not safe? Because 3 days ago, I was lying in bed in my pyjamas.
Oh, Alan, I'm on my bed now with my feet off the floor.
And I felt something tickly.
Oh, no.
Right where it shouldn't be tickly.
Did you not just have a heavy bush?
I'm just telling you what she said. I'm not even literally going there. She said, I pulled down my pyjama bottoms and there was the biggest spider I've ever seen right on my pants. She says, fortunately, I go to bed in my knickers under my pyjamas. But if I hadn't, I don't know what could have happened. So there you go. I know that, they must breed spiders big in that neck of the woods up there. And I didn't even know that spiders like the air as thin as it is up there.
Honest to God, you want to see it? It's like Spider City. It's unreal. It's unreal, the spiders here, man. They're bigger than me hand. Tell Claire, thanks a lot for that.
I tell you, Consett spiders. Hey.
There it
Dum, dum, dum. It obviously heard me. It knows what it wants.
I've got it.
You've got it?
I've got it.
What with? With your hand? What are you going to do with it then?
I don't know, but it's flattered.
Oh, it's splattered. Oh, well, that's all right then.
I don't want it to come back alive.
Your little hen is safe for the...
Its legs are still moving, Alan.
But it's just twitching. It's just twitching. That's what happens. It's a little bit of a death shake going on there. Don't worry. But the main thing is, little hen is safe. Congratulations. You have defended your honour well. Well done.
It was running from me bed, man. You know, when the adrenaline rush just kicks in, you just have to pounce for it.
Got to stop. Hey, well done. You see, it obviously heard what I was saying, and it was going for it there, I tell you. Dion, thank you for calling.
Right, no bother. Thanks, Alan. Watch what you're doing. Take care.
Take care. Love to you. Bye-bye. There you go. She's safe and sound. One of the more bizarre night owl calls that we love. Real people talking about real stuff. 0191 488 and Claire, I don't think you were any help at all, incidentally. 0191 488 3188. Keep the calls coming. We've got some blah coming up soon. We also have that. I think we'll have a chat with Duran Duran as well. Why not? Ricky is with us in Sacriston. Something urgent there lurks. Hello, Ricky.
Hello, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I gather there's something you want us all to look for. What's happened?
Yeah, okay. So quite briefly, on Tuesday evening between 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning, my horse was stolen.
Right.
Now, we've had a large search over the estate where the horse was kept.
Sure.
And nothing at all.
Now, presumably, though, a horse, if you're going to shift it, surely you need a horse box. Are you in a place where you could lead a horse through the streets and nobody would notice?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So have the police having a look at the cameras? Because surely there's only a certain amount of vehicles that would be capable of removing it.
Yeah, well, as far as we're aware, the police are investigating it.
Right, I hope so.
And obviously, we've put an appeal out. We've got a search page on Facebook.
Right. What's the horse look like?
So the horse is a 16-3 beer mare. She's got a white face and she's got a white sock on her right front leg.
Right, a grey mare with a white face.
No, a dark beer mare.
I beg your pardon, a dark beer mare, gotcha, with a white face and a white sock.
Yeah.
And one white sock. Now, that's pretty identifiable. So has anybody suddenly seen this horse in a field or in a paddock somewhere near where you are? It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah. We also have a cash reward.
Right.
For any information leading to the repair, to the return to the animal.
Right.
And the reason why the horse is really important and special is because it's part of a group, and the group go around. We should have been at Kendal yesterday at the Armed Forces Day, and we should have been at Morecambe today. Next week we should have been at Cleveland Show.
Right.
I have got PTSD, and my horse is my.
It's your pet.
It's my saviour. Yeah, it's my saviour. It's probably about 70% of me is my horse. So it's really important that we get this out. Out there, you know, it's been shared over 200,000 times. It's everywhere.
Right.
We've been on the front page of newspapers, local newspapers.
Good. No, well done. So, night owls, keep your eyes peeled. Those of you that are in horsey circles, and let's face it, you're everywhere, right across the region. This horse will crop up somewhere, and you've just got to spot it. It's a dark bay mare. It's got a white face with one white sock. It's 16-3. It's a sizable horse. If you see this animal anywhere, contact us, contact the police. Just make damn sure that you report where it is, and we'll get people there to pick it up and take it back to the rightful owner. It's horrible when this happens, but I always thought that the police using cameras can find vehicles no matter which direction they go, because there's police cameras everywhere these days.
Yeah. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed. If I might just say one further thing.
Sure.
On Facebook, our search page is called Help Find Reaver.
Help Find Reaver. R-I-V-A?
R-E-I-V-E-R.
Oh, Reaver, like Border Reaver.
Border Reaver, yeah.
Gotcha, right, Reaver. So if you can help in any way, go to that search page, see if you can help Ricky out there in Sacriston. And that happened between 1 and 7 in the morning, stolen from Sacriston.
Sacriston area, yeah. Plawsworth. Actually.
Gotcha. All right, well, fingers crossed for you, Rick. I wish you all the best. Awful
Thank
news.
you.
Thanks for
Cheers.
coming on,
Thanks
Bob. Ah, damn it. People who are horsey folk. I've never been a horsey person, but I've been around a lot of them, and the horse is their life. It's their whole life. And I know people who say that about dogs with a horse. It's as big, it's as huge. So try and help them out. Keep your eyes open if you can, especially if you're in that horse world. You go to places where you see other horses tethered or roaming around in paddocks. Tim is next in Baker. Then I think we'll have a superstar on the show or two. It's Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Alan. How you doing?
Good, mate. Thank you kindly. What are you ringing in about?
For a while, so I'll give you a call, see, checking out on you, making sure you're okay.
Excellent, thank you. I'm fine. What have you been up to then?
Oh, I've been up to all sorts. I did a bike ride for the Sunshine Children's Fund.
Oh, that's great.
Right from Biker right to Morpeth.
Wow.
And I'll tell you something, Colin, I didn't think it was that far to bike all that way, but I did. I put a bucket and I raised a few quid for the fund, and everything, and I really enjoyed it. And
you don't realise how steep some of the hills are as well, because everybody thinks that Morpeth's flat. It isn't really. By the time you get up certain banks on your bike.
Yeah,
I bet
I'll tell you something, Alan. The views are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
out in the countryside and the river and everything.
Yeah.
I got a bit sunburnt, but apart from that, it was fantastic. So, but
did you pick the hot day to do it?
I did, yes. and I didn't put any sun can cream on, and I got burnt to a crisp, and I'm still suffering.
Well, you know what every woman would say to you.
Yeah.
It's like eating chicken. The white bits are always the best.
Well, that's it. That's it, exactly. But apart from that, I've been doing lots to do with radio as well and stuff, and working on a new program with a new lady friend from Russia. So lives just round the corner. So but
isn't this just amazing? Who would have thought? I'm doing a radio show with this new Russian lady who lives just round the corner. That's brilliant. How about that? There's nothing sexier than a Russian voice. My goodness.
Hey, Alan, I'll tell you something. I got her here in my place, and we did a pre-recording of with the show, and honestly, she was just a natural.
Brilliant. Hey, well, enjoy it. Enjoy every step of it, Tim.
Yeah, I will do, mate. And nice talking to you again.
My honour, thank you.
And keep up the good work, Alan.
I'll do me darndest. Thanks, man. Take care. Bye-bye. There you go. He's doing new stuff too, which is very cool. Now, we got some blah coming. Now, we've got to play that track for Jodie Birdsey, and it's a classic Duran Duran tune. Let me just put that in place. That's going to go there. Right. Duran Duran. What are they frightened of? What are they scared of? What puts the willies up them?
I don't like flying, particularly, which is...
blimey.
It's pretty... that's pretty tough when we fly like millions of miles every year.
Yeah.
But I'm actually obsessed with these documentaries, where the flight goes wrong and it crashes. I'm quite obsessed with them. So I'm sitting on the airplane, and as soon as I hear feel a jet, I thought, oh my God, something's wrong. Oh my God, the engine's failing, or they've run out of fuel, like I saw in that documentary. It's called Flight Investigation.
It's on late at night stuff.
So I just like frightening myself sometimes.
Okay.
God, you're such a baby. What about me? I'm more existential than that. I get really terrified at the thought of not having sex for 7 days.
You wouldn't want to be in my house, mate. You would be scared.
You'd be cured pretty quickly. There you go. There's the guys from Duran Duran. But this track is for one of our number who's fallen. George Birdsey, a stunning fella. Geordie Birdsey, most people knew him as. We send our love to him and love to the whole family as well, who are missing him like mad about. And we wish him a great adventure and a grand new start that he's just begun. We wish him well. Here's that track for you. And for those of you who are watching this and not listening to the radio, I just wanted to say a big thank you for joining us week in, week out. As I say, we're working on a new idea. In a month or so's time, we are hoping to put out a televisual version of the Night Owls that we're going to have to fund, and hopefully you can help us with that too. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to do it our way. We'll also have our podcast, Alan Robson's Grizzly Tales. If you go to any podcast site and put that in, it'll come up. It's free. Help yourself, dip your bread. We also have the robsonsworld.com site full of shows. If ever you're short of a bit of owls, keep the kettle boiling until we can find a way to get back at least one day a week, one day more a week. And if it's successful, 2, 3, 4, 5 more days. We would love to think so. We can't bank that other people are going to be involved. So if we can't do it any other way, let's try and find a way to do it ourselves. And then we have the power and we can talk about what we like and do what we like and bring ghost hunts and do all of that other stuff. We just won't have any music on the show. Some people will love that, some people won't, but that's kind of what we're aiming for. Anyway, stay well, stay safe. If you can, keep listening, because we've still got a couple of minutes on that track. And then we've got the blah. We're going to get stuck into a lot of stuff. But until you and I are together again, thank you for your company. Good night. God bless you. And I wish you well.